Trump is currently here in the UK. I think he's visiting the King, Prince William and Kate, to greet Trump at Windsor Castle for a state visit. So he's come over. I think it's unusual to make multiple state visits. There's a big deal about it. I don't really follow that. What I have been following is there has been a huge amount of AI investment announced for the UK. So Microsoft, Nvidia and other tech giants plan over $40 billion of new AI investment in the UK. In yesterday's live, we talked about Google, and Google have announced $5 billion worth of investment, including a new data center. And it looks like Microsoft and Nvidia are also putting cash in as well. So Microsoft are putting in $30 billion, so 6 times as much as Google, and that's going to be over the next 3 years, and that includes $15.5 billion in additional capital commitments. Other building probably going to be data centers and infrastructure. Other tech companies, including Nvidia, Google, and OpenAI, are also ramping up their AI investments in the UK as President Donald Trump embarks on his state visit this week. So there is not an accident in the timing of this. On Wednesday, Trump and British Prime Minister Keir Starmer are expected to sign a new deal to collaborate on AI, quantum computer, and nuclear technologies. So that will be today if that happens, and it sounds like it's moving ahead. So Microsoft said on yesterday, that it plans to invest $30 billion in the UK by 2028 as the company builds out its artificial intelligence infrastructure. The investment includes $15.5 billion in capital expansion and $15.1 billion in its UK operations into the Microsoft branches in the UK. The computer said it will enable it to build the UK's largest supercomputer with more than 23,000 advanced GPUs, graphical processing units, in partnership with Nscale, a British cloud computing firm. Cool. So it looks like Nvidia, Google, OpenAI, and Salesforce are investing a lot, and the combined investment is over $40 billion. But it sounds like $30 billion of that is coming from Microsoft. So it's primarily a Microsoft investment here, and then $10 billion from the others. We know $5 billion of that is coming from Google. The spending commitments come as President Donald Trump embarks on a state visit to Britain. So yes, this is not accidental timing. This is a reminder, a warning. I'm sure there's a number of different diplomatic levers that are being pulled here. Trump arrived in the UK Tuesday evening. People are already being arrested for the protests. I think some people projected images of Trump and Epstein onto the side of Windsor Castle. Huge images, and I think 4 people got arrested for it. Set to be greeted at Windsor Castle on Wednesday, so today, by King Charles and Queen Camilla, and he's meeting Keir Starmer, etc. Yeah, I imagine this is all going to be tied up with the digital tax as well. So a lot of the investment will be pouring in, but they'll want some kind of commitment to reduce their tax burden, because this has been an argument the tech companies have been making and trying to get reductions in those taxes over the last few years in the UK. So I imagine there are going to be strings tied to this, and they're probably using Trump as well to force through some agreements. However, it is exciting to see money being put into the country, and this is what I've been saying for the last few months. Our AI, in the UK, I'm in the UK, our AI initiatives so far have been lackluster because there just isn't money. You need money behind these things if you want to actually be a contender. So you can put out as many pronouncements and commitments to becoming an AI first nation, but if you are putting a few £1 million behind it, a couple of $1 million, nothing is going to happen, because this now operates in the billions. So the fact that there are $40 billion coming into the UK being invested will at least allow the UK to maybe step up to the table. Of course, it's American companies, it's American money, so it's just a subsidiary of that. But at least it puts us on the map, maybe, in terms of research and in terms of development. It's still very small compared to how much is being invested in China and the USA, though, so we have to remember that. But I'm not going to complain. So Microsoft boss is saying a $30 billion investment should rapidly boost the UK economy. It depends how much of that money gets paid, or how much of that stays in the UK, how much of it is going to make it back in taxes as well, because I think this is going to be used to force concessions on those taxes on digital companies. but I saw some numbers being thrown around. Here we are, digital service tax. So Mr. Nadella, so the head of Microsoft, was speaking exclusively to BBC News as Donald Trump arrived in the UK on a 3-day visit. The UK and US have signed a tech prosperity deal as part of the visit, which aims at strengthening ties on AI, quantum computing and nuclear power. Technology Secretary Liz Kendall told the BBC the deal did not include guarantees over scrapping a tax for big tech or on copyrights for AI companies. Okay, so there's a deal in place, but it does not include concessions on the tax. The digital service tax, which is a 2% levy, raises about $800 million a year, mainly from US tech companies, was previously said to be part of the trade discussions, but it is not part of the new partnership that's being pushed through. She also said no guarantees were made to AI companies on copyright, a major issue for the UK's creative sector, which has expressed concern its work is being used by AI companies without permission. It is. There's no two ways around that. It is being used. Okay, so money is coming in. At the moment, it looks like there are no strings attached in terms of the digital services tax. I wouldn't be that surprised if we hear that digital service tax gets in some way reduced or removed or offset in some way moving forward after this kind of investment, especially if they want more investment. I'm sure it's going to become part of the negotiation. It's already part of the negotiations, but I don't think we're going to be able to hold that, and I think that will be scrapped in the near future. I would not be surprised. Cool. Money's money, so we'll see what happens with it and what the conditions and how this changes moving forward, but it's only happening in real time right now. So I think my microphone was having problems. I think I'm going to go ahead and block you. Every single comment you've said has been about people's race. So I'm just going to go ahead and take you out of here. When your first comment is complaining about the Indian people in your team, that's not a good start. Bye. There we go. Oh, thank you, Nick. Yeah, the microphone's in now. I was rescuing a bee. We had a bee in the house and it was close to expiring, so I think it had been locked in the house and all evening. So I was feeding it jam and then putting it back outside on the bug hotel. So I was a little bit late, and I obviously haven't done all my tech setup because I was saving a bee. Hopefully the bee's fine though, so that's all that matters. Good morning, Helen. You're watching from YouTube. That's awesome that people are starting to watch from YouTube. So the main platform has always been TikTok, but YouTube has finally started to move, and we are gaining, I think, about 200 subscribers a day, which is awesome. It used to be 1 or 2, and suddenly, as of last weekend, it rocketed, which I've always been told about YouTube, that you just have to keep going and going and going, and eventually YouTube's like, okay, we deign to allow your content to be showed. But it's taken months and months of doing work. This is actually the 52nd live broadcast doing the news. So that is 10 weeks worth before 10 weeks of these lives, having an editor chop it up, doing all that processing. So we're publishing maybe 10 videos a day to YouTube, and it's taken several months of doing that without any return, without any kind of movement. And then suddenly it goes 0, and then shoots up, which we were told was going to happen, but it's still very scary when you're going through the process and not knowing whether or not that's true and whether or not you're wasting your time. So thankfully we're getting there. Found you on TikTok, but you do recommend watching on YouTube for a better setup. Yes, so it looks a lot nicer on YouTube. Plus you can see my screen, which you can't see on TikTok, but obviously my TikTok following is larger because I think it's 150,000 on TikTok, and it's only 4,000 on YouTube.